The Littlest Light, written by Thal Dixon.
Illustrated by E.A. Mabagos.
The cave was completely dark, except the littlest light at the edge of a long corridor. His name was Larry. "Join us, Larry," cried the many shadows from the darkness. "Stay here and we shall all rest together." "I can't," Larry replied as he wandered through the many paths of the cave, pushing the darkness from his way. "I am a light." Everywhere Larry looked, the darkness surrounded him, pressuring him to stay where he was, but Larry kept searching. Sometimes Larry would see pictures on the wall of the cave, pointing in a direction to go. The more Larry pushed through the darkness, the brighter he became. Soon Larry saw another light in the distance breaking up the darkness. "I must find that light," Larry exclaimed. "No," cried the shadows in the darkness. "Stay in the cave and rest with us." Larry kept fixed on the dim glow in the distance until he was outside the cave of darkness. The world outside was not as dark as the cave. There were patches of darkness mixed with small amounts of light around him. Above him there were hundreds of sparkling lights in the night sky looking down on him. "Who are you?" Larry called out. "We are stars," they sang back. Larry did not feel like a star. They were the sparkling lights high in the sky, surrounded by a sea of darkness. "Come and join us," sang the stars. "You can be a beautiful sparkling light in the night sky. Some people look to us to find their way." "You are beautiful," replied Larry, "but I believe I am part of something more. I must keep looking." Larry continued walking down the path until he saw a large white light slowly rising above the mountains. Within minutes, this large lighted circle was high above him in the sky. "You are so big," Larry exclaimed in excitement as he stared, mesmerized by the large light in the sky. "Who are you?" Larry called out. "I am the moon," replied the large light. "I am a light," said Larry. "I can see that," said the moon to the littlest light. Larry looked up at the moon in amazement. "You are the largest light I have ever seen," Larry blurted out. "Actually, I am not a light at all," said the moon to Larry's surprise. "I am a reflection of the great light." Larry was puzzled. "What is the great light?" asked Larry. The moon paused for a moment and then spoke. "The great light provides the sight that we see by, the heat that warms us, and the life that sustains us." "Where can I find this great light?" asked Larry. "When the darkness runs," replied the moon, "you will know that the great light approaches." The littlest light stood silently on the path, watching the moon move slowly across the sky as the stars sparkled around him. "Can I be a great light one day?" Larry thought to himself as he continued to stare into space while the moon faded slowly in the distance. As the littlest light continued along the path, he noticed the darkness around him increasing. A fierce wind began blowing from the north. Black clouds covered the stars like a curtain. The darkness from the approaching storm was everywhere, except one small circle of light around Larry. Rain started to fall in small drops, but grew quickly until they were hard and constant. Larry sought shelter under a rocky ledge not far from the path as water bounced off the rocks above, soaking the ground below. Huddled under the ledge, shivering, was the littlest light, barely visible, fighting not to be swallowed up by the rain of the storm. "Why did I have to be a light?" Larry questioned as the water poured around him. "Join us," cried the many voices in the darkness. "Join us, and we shall dance with the rain together." Everywhere Larry looked, the sky grew darker and the wind blew harder. "I can't," Larry replied as he flickered slowly, trying to keep his own light shining. The rain started blowing almost sideways as Larry shifted further under the ledge to stay dry. "Moon, are you there?" Larry called into the darkness. "Where is this great light? Does it even exist?" Larry questioned the moon through the darkness of the storm. The littlest light listened carefully for an answer through the howling winds, the drumming of the rain, and the running water along the path beside him. Time passed. but the moon didn't answer. "Stars, are you there?" Larry cried out once more. Again, there was nothing. Finally, the rain stopped and the sky turned from black to dark gray as the wind slowed to a breeze. Larry ventured out from under the ledge, jumped over the water, and started again down the path. The dark cloud stood firm as a wet fog descended over the path. Larry could barely see one step at a time as his light reflected off the dense fog that surrounded him. "Join us," cried the many voices in the wind. "No!" Larry shouted this time into the storm. "I am a light." "Join us and rest," cried the voices again. Suddenly the ground started shaking and the winds blew stronger than before. Hail pelted the earth as trees swirled violently out of the ground up to the dark sky in the distance. As the storm raged around him, Larry stood tall, searching for any trace of the great light that the moon had spoken of. Then, all was silent in an instant. The wind stopped as suddenly as it came, and the black clouds opened, revealing the fading stars in the sky above. The darkness ran quickly from the mountains westward. The eastern sky above was growing lighter and lighter as the darkness quickly faded to a few wooded areas along the foothills. The colors of red, orange, and blue grew in brightness. Finally, a yellow fireball ascended majestically between the mountain peaks to take its rightful place in the sky. The great light was so bright that Larry couldn't stare and had to look away. Larry could feel a heat that he never felt from the stars or from the moon. There was also a warmth growing inside him. "Who are you?" asked Larry. "I am the sun," said the great light. "I am a light," said Larry. "You, my little one, are a sunbeam," the sun corrected. "You have always been a sunbeam. Now come to me," called the sun, "and become part of my great light, providing sight that others may see, heat that warms, and life that sustains all." Larry looked around as other sunbeams surrounded him and welcomed him. Larry was home. The end. Thank you for joining us today at Kids Poetry and Storytime with Thal Dixon. Want to know when we upload a new video? Hit subscribe and be one of the first.